Okay, I think we're ready. I hope so. Good evening. I'm Barbara Tinnerman Cecil, and on behalf of Susie Spittler and Tom Beck, I want to welcome you to the 38th Oral History Taping. Today is Tuesday, May 30th, 2017, and we are going to hear from the MIlton-Union High School Drill Team. Our first speaker is Jamie Wackler. Jamie.
Hello. I started in the drill team my freshman year, 1975, so I went all 4 years, and I wanted to become a Marquette. That was the name of the drill team. When I was young, my neighbor was, she was a few years older, and she was a Marquette, and she used to practice in her backyard, so I would watch her, and she would be practicing her marching and her routines, and I thought, I want to do that when I'm old enough. And I always watched the Marquettes at the football games and the pre-games and the halftime shows and at the parades, the 4th of July parade and the Memorial Day parade. And so when I got old enough and tried out and I made it was just wonderful. And some of a lot of the women sitting here today, I got to serve on the drill team with, and we share a lot of great memories. And I think the biggest takeaway for me was it's a team sport, because everything you do, you're doing as part of a team, and you're marching in lines, and you're doing routines, and you're all trying to move in the same way so that you present a uniformed, entertaining show or routine, whatever you're doing. And so we would start out in the spring and we'd do parades, and then when football season rolled around, we'd do halftime shows, and we would go to competitions and try to compete and win against other drill teams in the area. My freshman year was the largest team that I was on. I think there was 27 or 28 of us, and then after that there might have been 24 on the squad. And my junior year I was the captain, and I was a co-captain my senior year. And I brought some pictures to kind of show what it was like back then, the size of it, and I don't know if you can see this. This is a picture of the band and the drill team. And so we were pretty good size back then, and we had majorettes as part of the whole band as well. So, and this is what we looked like on the football field in a MU formation. And so we'd be kind of mixed in with the band. Here we are. This is my sophomore year. We got new uniforms, and we had fuzzy white hats, which we didn't really like that well because we had to pull our hair back, and the uniforms didn't allow you to move too well, but we look good, I suppose. And this is what we looked like at one of the parades. And some years it got so hot that people would pass out because we'd have to stand at attention. And if you locked your knees, you might, get a little faint, and some people would pass out. And so that was always a big deal. This is the inside. This is an indoor competition, and you can see the different colors. Those are all different drill teams that we would compete against. And so it was always fun to actually watch their routines and their shows as well, because they were different than ours. And so it was always entertaining. And my senior year, my last picture, my senior year, we got to go to Disney World in Florida, and we marched down the street of Disney World. So that was a lot of fun. We had a great time doing that. But I guess I'm going to turn it over to Michelle.
Okay. I'm Michelle Greil Sewell. I started out in the drill team in 1973, in the fall of 73, and graduated in 77. Before that time, I had been part of the Little Majors here in West Milton, and so I loved marching, and I actually twirled a rifle with them. And then my sister, Bambi, was also on the Marquettes. So when I was in 8th grade and she was on the team, of course, I always saw her getting ready for the football games, and I still wanted to be marching, and I wasn't in the majors anymore. So I tried out, and the rest is history from that. So anyway, I was on it all 4 years. I was co-captain my junior year and captain my senior year. And a lot of changes happened in those 4 years when I look back and think about it. I really think, I was trying to remember about how it was run, and I was like, when you're your junior and senior year, and I was in charge of a lot of things for being a co-captain and captain. And we had an advisor, Janet Jacobs, I believe she came my junior year, I believe. And before that, I didn't really even know the advisors that were there. I'm not even sure we had one. Sue Sowers was our captain my junior year, and the girls were in charge of doing a lot of the work and the grunt work. So, but we had some uniform changes. I know Jamie mentioned about those winter uniforms. Those came about my senior year because the band got new uniforms as well. So they decided that we needed to have them for the drill team. And we didn't have much say on the design of those, and they weren't, like she said, they weren't real comfortable. You'd raise your arms up and your whole dress would go up, and then those big fuzzy hats didn't leave you much ability to turn your head. But we didn't wear those as many times. We might have worn them for pregame or something, and then got to take them off for halftime and put our hair up a different way. But prior to that, and I have a picture, Mindy Grisso was captain at that time, and the uniforms were different, and they were wool. And I can remember wearing that. I think it was my freshman year, and my sister had these, because I can remember her, they had to be dry cleaned and everything, so they were quite costly to take care of them. But we had a different uniform in the summertime. So we had to have those made, and so if your mom didn't sew, you had to go to a seamstress and have that made. You had the pattern for it. And I brought several of those summer uniforms. Believe it or not, after 40 years, I still have those in my repertoire. So this was one of them, and they were always, well, this one is very unique. It's got all the little ruffles on it. And it was actually heavy material for a summer uniform. That was one. I don't know what I had my freshman year, because I only had 3. This one was my junior year. They were always just real lightweight, and we wore them with the marching boots. I don't even know they were leather, yes. And that was for all the parades. And then this was our senior year, or my senior year. And what was unique about this one is that the trim was red, white, and blue. So it was the bicentennial, and we did a lot of special parades and performances to appropriate music for the bicentennial. And I specifically remember that. The other thing was that we made up our own routines. We didn't have a choreographer. We were our own choreographers. So the captains and co-captains usually did that work and then taught it to the girls when we practiced. And practices were every night, basically, during football season. 2 nights of the week we practiced with the band, and the other 2 nights we were by ourselves. And we would learn a routine or set of routines for the show for 1 week, and then we would do it for the second week at the away game, and then start all over again for the following week. So it was a constant making up routines and teaching them and practicing so that you could get it done quickly enough. The other thing that I really remember well is that and that year was the first year that we went to an indoor competition for the drill team. And when you did that, you took the pep band to play for you. A lot of the drill teams now just use, they call it canned music or taped music, and the pep bands don't go. But back then, that's how they did it. And it was our first year to do that. So we were novices at that, and I can remember choreographing the show and writing the drill for the show and putting that all together. I don't even remember what we did, except I found something that had beach balls. So I think we had a routine from camp that we had learned that there was a beach ball routine in our show. We went on to, I believe there were 9 teams in our division, and we got 8th place. So that was, but for a start, at least we got there. It was at Ohio Wesleyan. It was a big deal. I have a picture of us in the stands from the newspaper at Ohio Wesleyan after we placed 8th in the state and 9th in the nation. That's just the way they did it. Somebody was out of state from at the competition, but I don't know which way I can turn it a little better. So that was exciting times then, because we had never done that before. But it was also a lot of work, because the competition was in March, so you basically were going from the time you tried out in April, I think, all the way through the summer. We had a few weeks off in the summertime, and then that particular competition was March 11th, I think they said. So, and they're much later now, so it's interesting. But and that I wanted to say something about the name, the Marquettes, because people would always ask us, why are you called the Marquettes? Because your team is the Bulldogs. And they didn't want to be called the Bulldogettes, so that's what I was told history-wise, and they picked Marquettes because it rang well with Milton-Union. So that's what I had been told, so I don't know if that's true or not, but I have some old T-shirts as well that popped up. I'm not even sure what this one came from, but it's blue, too. I thought that was really weird. So. Yeah. But it has Marquettes on it. It's probably a camp T-shirt when we go to Vincennes, Indiana, and learn routines there and help with the choreography. And then this is a standard. Obviously, we didn't want to be called Marquettes on that one, so we were MIlton-Union Drill team. So, and I also brought the standard red and white gloves. Yeah. We use those a lot in our jazz routines, and just anytime we could, basically, and keep our hands warm in the wintertime when we're on the football field. I also brought my jacket with the good old Milton-Union Marquettes on the back. I think the Bulldog got handed down from my sister, and then I finally got a new jacket to wear. So, but good memories there. All righty. And I'm going to hand it over to Jenny.
Hello, my name is Jenny Stamper Cox, and I was in the drill team for my sophomore, junior, and senior year. And like it's been expressed before, I had the pleasure of being with most of these ladies on this panel. And before I left today, I just kind of wrote down a few things that I tend to do better when things come from my heart. When I'm speaking. So I also was in Little Majors, and I loved the everything about it. I loved the people that ran it. I loved the parades. I loved the music, the patriotism. That was very, very important to me. And so in junior high, I was a cheerleader. And when I became a freshman, I thought, well, I think I'm going to try out for a drill team this time. I want to be a part of those girls. They're awesome, great people, you know, the music, the fun. However, I didn't make it my freshman year. So, and that's fine, because I think everything happens for a reason. And, you know, I spent a lot of time, like Michelle was saying, there's a lot of practice. When you're in drill team, basically it's a year. I mean, you're busy all year long. And that was fine. That's why I think we received so many awards and did as well as we did. But I have so many fond memories of high school friendships and school spirit, and that makes you very proud to be a part of this community, this little town called West Milton. It's a very special place. And because of that, it makes us all kind of who we are. All these people that have, entered our lives at some point form us in some direction. And I just remember the pep assemblies, the after-school practices, all the drill team camps, all the competitions. The trip to Disney was really probably one of my favorites because that included the band, the drill team, the flag corps, and it was a really, really super fun, special time for all of us. I've since been back to Magic Kingdom where we marched in that parade, and I couldn't help but stand there and feel so proud and so emotional about the fact that we were chosen to do that. And just everything about the drill team just really made me proud, made me happy. We had a lot of school spirit and pride. And I hope that continues. I treasure all my Marquette friends, the school, and the community here of West Milton. And I just have, speaking of the Disney, where we are marching down the parade route. The place was packed. It was really, really awesome. Then I have a picture of my dear friend Jamie Wackler that I would like to share. This is when she was named to the honorary drill team. And I also have a picture of those really fun hairdos that we all loved. Slick back. And let's see, I'm not sure what the year was on this, if anyone knows. 78? And then this is probably one of my fondest pictures from getting ready to go. And I'm in front of my home, and I have my little brother and sister there looking on. Looks like I was practicing already. So, yeah, I can't say enough about, how it does form who you are, and the memories and everything are just really what it's all about, and that's what life's all about. So I think I'll pass it to Miss Dawn.
Thanks, Jenny. And I'm Dawn Paulus J. And I didn't bring any pictures. I did bring a lot of notes, but I just thought I'd tell you, I did have, before I came, I thought, well, I'm going to just wear this uniform, and I'm going to wear these gloves and this hat. And so I had everything on, but my boots wouldn't fit. So I took it all off. So my uniform's at home. Anyway, I was in drill team. I think I tried out my freshman year. When I was in junior high, when we'd see the Marquettes at the football games, to me, they were elite. I mean, this team was, you just wanted to be in it, And I wasn't a sports person or anything, and I told Mom and Dad, I said, I'm going to try out for my freshman year. And so I did, and a lot of girls tried out. And that year, we were told only 2 freshmen was going to make the team. So, I practiced and practiced. Michelle was the captain, and Dawn Johnson, and
Joan Vagatus.
Joan was the co-captains. Miss Jacobs was there. But did a lot of practicing, and I made it. I was one of the 2, and it was me and Julie Brock. So Julie, if you're watching, but I stayed in it all 4 years. But the thing I just can remember with that, it just was, let's see, when you were in the Marquettes or the drill team, you weren't allowed to be in anything else. You know, it was an all-year thing. And they even discouraged going to JVS. You know, here that was going to be my key thing in to get a job. All my friends went to JVS, but I wasn't allowed, or they discouraged it from going because, you know, the pep assemblies and buses leaving early and you got to wait for JVS. But anyway, it was just an honor to me to be in the drill team. I can remember when you were in your uniforms, I mean, you acted right. I mean, if you had a boyfriend, you didn't hold hands, you weren't caught under the bleachers making out. You had that uniform on, you represented Milton-Union. And like I say, I just felt that we were just a bit higher. Yeah, I mean, not really higher, but just, it was just a good group of girls. We weren't picked on popularity. It judges that we didn't know, you know, like the co-eds for Centerville, some of them would come in and, you know, and then the captains and stuff, and you got picked on your ability. And so I was real proud with that. And I can remember band camps, you know, being at Miller's Grove. I mean, we'd leave at 8 in the morning and get home at 5. They didn't care if it was 107 degrees out. You know, heel toe. You're marching until you're sweating. And excuse me, if you left that night with no bruises on the side of your legs from practices, you didn't do it right.
That's true.
We had disc one year, and whoo-wee, rubber band man, boy, those killed your legs and stuff. But I don't know, just the hot days at camp. But like I say, it was serious stuff. We practiced, and we practiced hard. I can remember before parades and stuff, we had inspections. You know, you go there, I mean, your boots, we had those short boots that was hard as a rock, and those things had to be painted or, I mean, no scuffs, polish. Well, I didn't do my boots, my mom did. Me too. And I'm going to tell you what, I marched every daggone thing because them boots were spectacular. In fact, I think Miss Jacobs told Mom, she said, I never had to worry about Dawn's boots. They were perfect. And, you know, the blisters, I mean, Firemen's Convention parades, those parades were 5 to 8 miles long, 2 parades in one day. I mean, we were no wimps. And you'd be done with those parades and your heels would be bleeding, you know, blisters and all that kind of stuff. But it was, to me, it was a proud group, you know, to be in. And I think we were respected, and we were expected to act, you know, be a, what do you call it? A role model, yeah. And speaking of Jamie down there, that's another thing I had in my notes here. My freshman year when I did make it, I guess I wasn't as sharp as I could have been, and Jamie, boy, she'd practice with me. I mean, I have aching bones today from, you know, get them arms out there and snap, and I tell you, my joints hurt today. I got drill team injuries. But Jamie, she did take me under her wing, and, you know, she shaped me up to be what I should be in the drill team. I guess I had potential, is how I made it. And I did get the most improved award my freshman year. So, you know, a lot of memories. There's a lot of stories. I told my mom I could talk for probably a couple hours up here. You know, stories and parades and everything. But I think it's the best thing that ever happened to me. And like I say, it was a good group to be in, and really did enjoy it. I do have to tell one story because my mom's out here. Back with them hats, those white hats, okay? I tell you, every piece of hair had to be up in that hat. I'm not kidding you. You couldn't have even one strand hanging down, because again, we had inspection, before our time to go on. Well, anyway, here we are at practice, we're at home, and I'm sitting there in my bedroom, and my hair is just, I haven't even started to put it up, Well, Mom's getting mad, it's getting time to be at school. I said, Mom, I don't know how to get all this hair up, Well, she left because I needed a pair of hose, those no-nonsense hose.
The eggs.
Yes, suntan, you had to get that color. So she says to me, when I get home, your hair better at least be started, put up. Well, she took off. Well, I'm sitting there in my bedroom, I had this mushroom stool that was back in. I sat on that and I'm looking, I thought, I don't know what to do with this hair. Well, guess what? She comes home. She's got my hose, and there I sat. Well, she was mad, and she went into her bedroom, and I'm hearing the drawer rustling and hose are flying like this. She took scissors and cut off the top of a hose. She came in my bedroom, and that hose went down over my head, and I tell you, every piece of hair went up.
That's a good idea.
I am not kidding you. And she stuck that hat on, and I put my spiffy boots on, because I knew I was going to pass inspection. And we went to the high school. Well, guess what? I was the only one that had my hat on, though. Everybody else is going to get ready in the room, but I rode that bus with that stupid hat, with that, and then some of the girls, well, take it off. No, don't touch my hat. Don't touch. Well, I didn't say anything till it was over with. And these girls are just like, Dawn, how'd you get your hair up so good? Okay. So I took my hat off, and that daggone hose worked its way up, and so it just popped off, and my hair fell down. And do you know, I said the secret is these hose, and do you know those girls, they put their hair up in hose, and we had the best hair under that.
Ever since.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
That was a tradition now. So I got to get my glasses on here and see.
I remember it now. I didn't know that's how it started.
Yeah, that.
Oh, that's funny.
Well, I didn't move with that hat on after that first time.
I guess not.
But anyway, like I say, it was a strict group to be in, and you got in because of your abilities, and you were proud. You were proud to be MIlton-Union Drill Team, and I have my same coat too, and with the 4. I didn't try out for captain or co-captain. I just was shy that way, I guess. But it was just fun being in it and being in it for 4 years. So I'm going to pass it on to Dawn.
Hi, I'm Dawn Gowdy Caldwell now, and I tried out for drill team. I was on with these ladies also. It must have been summer of 75, I think. And so it was in my freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior year. The song that I tried out to, I still remember it like it was yesterday, was The Lion Sleeps Tonight. And I think I can remember part of it, but I was also one of those people who just really, really wanted to be on the drill team. It was just my thing. You know how people they're in sports or they're great in different things, and but the drill team was my thing, and I absolutely loved it all 4 years. Great memories with these ladies, and I'll just share a couple of them. I remember our freshman year, and I still tell this story to this day because people don't believe it, but we performed at the halftime show at the Gems hockey game. At the hockey game. And it was at halftime, and there was ice. And we did a routine on the ice. And what we were really great at our freshman year was we would hook up to do our kick line, and then we would bounce and do the splits. On the ice, though. And so, anyway, I came back with a pretty big bruise on the inside of one of my legs, but man, we looked great. And what was that routine? Do you got Rock and Robin? It was Rock and Robin. So anyway, yeah, Jamie and Jenny could probably still do it.
I can do Rubber Band Man.
Rubber
To the
Band
T.
Man. Rubber Band Man was another one that we'll never forget. We had colored discs with a place for your hand to fit in. There were 4 different colors. And we got really good at that. We did it for the entire season, during football season and during our competitions, and we were awesome. But what's interesting is when we all brought our those little discs down and hit our legs, it was really loud. But I still have broken blood vessels on my. I still have broken blood vessels on my legs from that. Do you guys?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yes.
Yeah.
In fact, some of my knee replacements may have been because of the drill team. I would like to say that may be why it happened.
Yep.
Anyway, other memories are just getting ready for football games, and we had to try out, actually, like we made the drill team, but then every week before the football game, we had to try out to make sure we could still do our head kicks and our splits. And so that was always a fun thing to do. But those Friday night football games were the best. And I remember just going out on that field, and I was one of the tallest on the team, so I was right about on the 50-yard line. And anyway, just some great things then. And then competitions were very, very fun. I remember we had to all be very similar in how we held our hands, and my hand does not go flat. And so they were always trying to get me to get my hand to go flat, and I couldn't, so because it bends. So that was one of the things. We had to have flat hands. Anyway, the Firemen's Convention was very fun. I remember was it in Greenville or Piqua or something
Union
like that?
City.
Union City,
Yeah, the Piqua.
very fun, long parades, and then, but the competitions, there was, sometimes in the winter, we would have to practice in the morning before school. And so Jenny Stamper lived out close to me, and I was able to take my parents' car into school that day, and I picked up Jenny, and it just happened to be a snow day. Do you remember this?
Yes.
And we were going across the bridge in West Milton and hit an ice patch, and that car went spinning around on the road, and we made it. We're still here, and we made it to practice. I don't even know if we were late because we weren't allowed to be
I'm
late.
sure he made sure we made it, didn't
I
we?
know,
To
we
practice?
did make sure we made it. So anyway, and then again, Disneyland, Disney World, yes, was very memorable. I do have some pictures of that, but I didn't bring them with me. And so anyway, I just have so many fond memories, and am so thankful that I was on the team with all these ladies, and just have that from my high school years. Great memories. So thank you guys for all of that. So, and now I'm going to pass it on to Colleen Penny.
Hi, my name's Colleen Penny. I was on a different drill team than these girls to my left. My first year was in 1971. I have a picture here of us at camp. I don't know if you can see that. It's kind of hard, isn't it? No. Okay. And I don't actually remember why we were called the Marquettes, but I do know that Vicki Agnew and Terry Hoover and Debbie Harrison were the ones who did that name. And they were also, Vicki Agnew was a different kind of person, and she was good, and you guys would have really liked her. But she made the drill team what it was, as far as I was concerned. She took us to competition, which you guys talk about competition, but it was, we did it the winter of '72. We had Mr. Witherspoon was a teacher then, and he was very much a band person. And he's the one that wrote the drill, and it didn't have music. It was all kind of like a drum and bugle thing. We just marched. And it was at the Dayton Mall. And I remember you guys were talking about how you had to be inspected before we never were inspected. Not our drill teams. But anyway, we had to be inspected for that particular competition. And in my memory, I was with Carol Eichmeyer, and her and I went to get something to eat. And of course, we had the uniforms. That's another thing. You guys were talking about the wool uniforms. Vicki Agnew is responsible for this. And this is my drill team where I was captain. But Mrs. Coate, Mom, wasn't it Mrs. Coate who made our uniforms? I'm not sure. Yes. She lived across the street from where Marie lived. Yeah. Mrs. Coate made all these uniforms. And because I was a sophomore, somebody had my uniform down the way because I kept rolling. But anyway, you guys got our uniforms from that class. So that's where they came from. We actually Vicki had those made. And we all, like I said, went to Mrs. Coates. But anyway, I had that white shirt on, and I had ketchup all down. And I remember Carol and I were like, oh, wow, now we're in trouble. But back in those days, they just told them, she has a stain on her shirt, and you were fine. It was no big deal. And so I really remember that drill team. That was my most, I can't say memorable because my senior year was pretty good. Then our junior year, I had your sister as my co-captain, and Kathy Cleather was our captain. And, what's her name?
That was your freshman year?
Janet Schaefer. Yeah, Janet Schaefer was our captain. Marie was in drill team with me. And we had fun. I'm sorry, girls. There's a lot of fun with our drill teams. And then my senior year, I was a co-captain with Dawn Might and Annette Blackburn. And Marie was our, what did we call her? Squad leader. And we also went to camp every year at Vincennes University in southern Indiana. And our senior year, these are the girls that actually went, I can't seem to get that straight.
Just
Anyway.
hold still so they can get you.
Yeah, I
There you
don't
go.
know how to go there.
There you go.
Here we go.
Anyway, there. These are the girls that went to camp. And we had a good time. Dawn, our captain, she got Miss Vincennes. And so that was really special. Her and I and Annette went both weeks. Camp was always 2 weeks. I'm not sure when it was. It was sometime in the summer. And the first week we went, Dawn got runner-up. And the second week we went, she got Miss Vincennes. And that's pretty special because the competition was strict. I mean, it was good. And this is a good picture because she just won. And, no, sorry, here we go again. That's Annette over my shoulder, and then me, then Dawn, and then Dawn's mom, because she came to pick us up because it was our last day. I think my mom and dad took us. And, of course, we had the beach balls, too. And ours, oh, that's not the beach balls. We did Candyman, and we had learned that at camp. Where were those?
I remember that.
Do you? Yeah, that was in the newspaper. Well, it doesn't really matter.
I remember Candyman.
Oh, January 5th, 1973. I actually have it written on the back. It was a basketball game. We did halftime. But my senior year, when we were in drill team, we didn't do competition. We didn't do anything. We just, we really did. We had a lot of fun. I did. I don't know if Michelle did, but I know Marie did. It was a good time. I also just like being in drill team. It wasn't much of a school person, so it probably kept me going. I loved to march. I loved to dance, and the two were kind of there together. I liked being a captain. As you said, we did our own routines. Dawn, Annette, and I would get together. We would, Dawn was good at that. We'd make up what we were going to do, and then we'd teach the girls, and we'd go out there. And have fun. And one thing I do remember, you guys never mentioned this because I don't know if you did this, but on Thursday nights, we actually practiced with the band on the field. We did that. And that was great fun. Yes. Because you went out there, it was not dress rehearsal, but it was rehearsal after the guys got off the football field, and then we'd have fun. But really, I don't remember that you couldn't go to JVS. Do you remember that? I don't think our, yeah. I don't think that,
You couldn't get, right.
and like Marie said, it had just started when we were juniors and seniors, I think. And you did have to keep your grades up. I remember that. And I could think of things, but we had fun. We also, one thing I remember about drill team is when you guys were in school, did you have like lunch was with band because you would practice? So our senior year, oh, you don't remember that? Well, we always had practice with the band. So especially during football season, you would go outside and you'd practice during the day, or during that period. So then when football season was over, you had that time, and I was fortunate enough that Mr. Witherspoon just wrote me a pass out. I think, Marie, you got in on that pass out, didn't you? So we had lunch for the whole entire time. So we would go to the Dairy Queen, and we would have lunch with all 3 periods. I know that doesn't have anything to do with drill team, but.
We would have got a demerit for that.
I don't know.
Five and you're off.
I don't think,
Dentist appointment.
no, I don't think we had demerits. No. No, we didn't have demerits. I think the worst thing we probably did was you had to compete every week to see who did the dance or the routines the best. And if you weren't quite good at it, then we would replace you with an alternate or, that kind of thing. But no, we weren't strict. It was a little more fun than that. So, or what I remember. That's about as good as I'm going to get. So I'm going to pass it on here to my friend and cohort, Marie.
My name's Marie Kleppinger Perry, and like Colleen said, I was in drill team with her. I started in '73 as I was picked as one of the alternates, and I can remember when I went out for drill team, Bambi Grile was one of the captains, and I can remember being at a church dinner, and the meal was over, and I talked to her to try to have her teach me the routine ahead of time so that I could practice. And I remember being down in the basement of the church out at Potsdam and her teaching me this routine. I went home and I practiced till I couldn't practice anymore. And when they called my name, I was like, woohoo! I made it. And I made it as an alternate my first year. And like Colleen said, you had to try out every week, everybody. And that whole year during football season, I beat someone out. And so I got to perform every football game over someone else that was picked ahead of me. And then my senior year, I was picked as the squad leader. So I kind of took over while they were at Vincennes for their training for that week. And we had band camp here at home. So, I think Karen Cleather helped me a little bit, and we kind of tried to keep everybody in line, which, that's back in the 70s. That was hard to do.
That's what I said. It's more fun.
So I was named squad leader, and then I think my senior year, because I still have that plaque, that I was given for the most improved. So I, too, like Colleen, I was not an academic student, so, and I not so much loved the marching, but it was dancing, and I think I got that from my parents because they used to take square dance. And so I think their love of dancing, kind of came off onto me. And so I pass that on to my grandkids. Yeah, so we all love to dance. No, but I remember, and a couple years ago, Karen Cleather had called me, and we did like an impromptu. One of the girls from 75, was it 75, Karen? 76 happened to be in town, and they're like, let's get together, have dinner at a restaurant. And I was like, let's do it at my house. So we had, like I said, this real impromptu get together for, I don't know, there's probably 15 of us maybe.
It was our drill
And
team.
I said, it's really amazing when you open your front door and they're like, hey, Marie, and it's like, hey, who are you? You don't recognize them, and you have to take some time and think, oh, yeah, that's who you are, So it was a great 2 years for me in high school, my junior, senior year. I loved it. I loved band camp. I loved going to Vincennes. I loved hanging out with Colleen. She's my friend from kindergarten, my friend today. 45, 50 years later. Well, we're older than that, but yeah.
I have to tell everybody.
Yeah. So, I mean, those are just my memories. And a few years back when they had the homecoming parade here in Milton, I always go with my grandkids and my kids, and we stand in front of Hoffman Church, and I told my husband, I said, I wonder if I can get in that jacket. And I pulled it out of the closet, and I said, my God, I can get this sucker on. I put it on, and I stood there loud and proud. And let me tell you, I wore it up into the stadium, and I think it's the Smiley Boys. I'm not sure if that's who they are. Sit in front of me, and every game they wear their high school coats, and it says like SWBL champs in the 60s, and I'm like, yeah, we rock, guys, So, I mean, it's just something that, for me, that I am proud of and will always be proud of. So,
I agree.
Sue?
Hello. I don't know if it's a good thing or bad thing that I'm last, but most of what I was going to say has been said. A few things. I was in it my sophomore, junior, senior year, graduated in 77. It was a lot of fun. One of the things I remembered, we did have a new routine every single home football game, which I don't think happens anymore, but it was new, so you got to see something every time, and then we repeated it at the away games, which gave us that week to learn the one for the homecoming the following week. And one way that we practiced, we would all bring our little cassettes, and the captains would play the song and we would tape it, and that way then we could take it home and practice with it. And I know the band then would play it, and that was on cassette, but sometimes that was slower than what they actually played when we got there, so I do remember that. And we did perform at a couple basketball games. It wasn't always football. And I remember the hockey game, doing the splits on the ice. And one thing about Vincennes that I recall, we went, I think, on a bus with no chaperones. I mean, can you imagine nowadays that many girls with no chaperones? We just went, and like they said, the captains were in charge, and that's the way it was. And somebody had mentioned we weren't supposed to be doing anything else. Well, it was 1 year, possibly 2. I also played tennis. So I had to keep track of my minutes, and I had to be at drill team practice 51% of the time. And I think 1 week I missed that, so I had to sit out that particular game. But I enjoyed tennis too, so that was okay. One thing too, speaking of academics, we had to keep our grades up. Well, one time I got a note on my report card from Mrs. Kaufman, my Latin class. She had written on there, too much drill team, not enough study. She was probably right. Latin was not my favorite subject.
She was rough. She was a good teacher.
Yeah. And then I remember one time we had metallic pom-poms, but they came in straight strips, so we had to pull them all up. Everybody had to do their own and then try to make them look uniform. But I don't know why that popped in my head, but that, and I remember the song Sung Blue. I still remember that routine. I don't know why.
That's fun.
And I had brought a uniform and gloves, but that's already been shown. So, I don't know, it was a lot of fun.
Anybody have anything else? So y'all did band camp, did you do it over at Miller's?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did too, when I was in band. Look how long ago that's been. Yeah.
Packed our lunch.
And then we got to go swimming in the afternoon, did you all?
Yeah, I like it for like an
It
hour.
was hot, but it was fun.
Oh, it was a blast. I loved it. Band camp was always fun, but yeah.
It was hot.
I will say that these uniforms here, I made those for the drill team when Michelle, yeah, when Michelle was, I lived above Studebakers. I had just got married for the first time, and she had asked me if I would make those, and I remember, yeah, when she brought those, I was like, oh my God, I believe I made those, and I did. There's like 20 some of them. I was like, whoa.
She's a good seamstress. Very good.
Has anybody ever had a dream where you didn't know the routine, but yet you were on the football field?
I lived that.
No, I don't remember.
Definitely, definitely, yeah.
I was thinking of something when you were talking, and I can't remember.
Wow. Thank you all very, very much. It's been very interesting. You brought back a lot of memories to me as well, because I was in the band a few years before you were all in the band. So I remember band camp, and I remember the thrill of seeing you all at Disney World, because we were also there. Our daughter was also part of that. And it was a thrill of a lifetime to see the MIlton-Union High School band and Marquettes and drill team and majorettes and everything perform in front of thousands of people that were there that day. So it was grand. I remember that as well. So thank you all very, very much. We sure appreciate all your memories and your talks. And so until the next time, thank you.